Good morning, good afternoon, good evening around the world. My name is Doug Brunke. I'm the founder and CEO of Global Chamber. We have a very special Saturday program today where we're spotlighting and highlighting the market opportunities in agriculture in Nigeria. So thank you for joining us today, and we're looking forward to a great conversation because we've got some great experts speaking and in the audience. So we encourage all of you to post your information in the chat area to be interactive that way. We have a speaker, then we'll have time for questions. I'd first like to introduce Debbie Adesola, who's the Global Chamber Executive Director for Global Chamber Lagos in Nigeria. Debbie, would you like to say some opening words in terms of maybe a little bit of the inspiration for this program? What prompted you to create this? What would you like to get out of it? And then any other comments that you'd like to make relative to today's program.
Thank you, Joe. Thanks so much always for giving us a platform. Well, the inspiration for this program today is to showcase what we have in Nigeria for Nigerians and for people outside Nigeria. Because a lot of people don't even know what we have in terms of the agriculture, and agriculture is the next oil business in Nigeria and even around the world. And so a lot of people are out there, and Global Chamber is a wonderful platform to do this because we have over 530 metros around the world. And yeah, so that's a large market for us Nigerians to showcase our products, services, what have you. So this is one out of many that we've been doing, and it's now going to be a monthly session. Yeah, hopefully it's going to be a monthly session that we bring out the best. We also hope that at the end of this, we'll be able to have more members to join because you have a lot to gain. And if you want to join us as members, member of our Global Chamber, you can always reach out to me. I'm going to leave my email address and my contact. You can always reach out to me on that, and then we'll talk about how you can be a member, benefits that accrues, and lots more. Thank you.
Thank you, Debbie. Global Chamber is all about trade. And I've realized after I retired from business that the world needs a little bit more understanding across borders and even within borders. And one of the things about trade that works very well for that is when you do trade, whether it's across the street or whether it's across a border, you have to not just talk, but you have to listen and negotiate and mediate. And the whole process of trade, when it's done well and when it's done in a sustainable way, adds to the positivity of the world. It does certainly increase prosperity, but the understanding aspect of it is also very important. I'm also a great believer in the continent of Africa because it's really been left behind in the world. My own personal opinion, and probably the opinion of others, very many times when countries and continents are left behind, we should be looking out for those, whether it's people or countries, and in this case, the continent. I think there's an awful lot of opportunity in Africa, not just in the agriculture section, but then taking those agricultural products and creating value locally and exporting. So it's the whole process of creating the product, creating value locally, and then exporting. And then there's certainly many other opportunities around exporting in Nigeria, and those will be subject of other topics. And I know, Debbie, that's part of the reason why you're part of Global Chamber, to increase the wealth and the prosperity of the region and to ride this wave of global trade.
Yeah, actually, I do hold a yearly event. It's a seminar, like a conference, tagged Export Nigeria, and it's doing well. We've not held any for 2 years now because of my busy schedule. But anyways, it's part of, like you rightly said, it's part of why we are holding this, so we know what our the things exportable from Nigeria, the countries that need it, and lots more. It's a whole lot of gain, actually. A whole lot. There's a whole lot with agriculture, with exportation, even in telecoms too. We have and transportation too. There are opportunities in these areas.
Many opportunities. So as we increase trade, and we certainly do the understanding part that's important, and with the prosperity, exporting brings back money to the country, which is a good thing, because that money can be used for education, for infrastructure, a variety of other aspects. And so let's continue this process we're on for trade. I encourage all of you to be involved as much as you can. Not just in Global Chamber, certainly, but for the country, for wherever you are, whether you're in Nigeria, or I see Global Chamber Ghana is on the line as well, maybe Ruby Golo is possibly on the call. Definitely all of you, let's work together and do trade and make this a better world. So without further ado, I would like to introduce Babatunde, who is our keynote speaker today. I'm going to ask you to give an opening statement, and then feel free to speak as long as you want. Just let us know kind of how you would like to structure it. You have such an impressive background, and you're doing some really good work. You just mentioned about the work you're doing with coconuts there in Lagos. Your organization, FAO, is doing some really good work. You're involved with the United Nations. As I read your biography, it's clear that you are doing really some excellent work. We'd love to learn more about that. And then ultimately today's purpose is, what are some of the things going on? We'd like to know that for sure. But then what are some of the other opportunities that we should be knowing about so that we can tap into them? I see several people on the call, like Lothar is involved in Southern Illinois, which is very agricultural, and there are a number of different activities going on there where they could participate, and would love to be able to make some connections there. I know Anthony Haynes may be also on this call. He's out of Global Chamber Chicago, and he is involved with used farm equipment that he finds around the world, and he exports to Africa. So undoubtedly, he'll be potentially a key partner as well. And I see Dennis Yellowhorse Jones as well, has a very unique fertilizer that he's already using throughout Africa, probably already in Nigeria. Would love to hear from you, Dennis, later in the program as well. These are partners and people that are trusted around the world that can help facilitate more success locally. Babatunde, thank you so much for sharing your knowledge today. We'd love to kick things off. How would you like to structure today's program? What do you feel would be the best way for us to learn from you?
Okay, thank you so much, Douglas. I think one of the key things I would like to do is to do more like some minutes presentation, and the presentation is actually to identify some challenges, and also to see some of the strengths, the weakness, opportunity, and the threats in the trade and agriculture sector in Nigeria. And that would be like let's say 15 to 20 minutes presentation. Then we could do a question and answer section. So I think I would really appreciate it.
That sorry, I was getting a phone call. That would be great. Before you do that, could you let us know a little bit more about you? Why are you involved in this area? What prompted you? What inspired you to be involved?
Okay, thank you so much. About 25 years ago, I actually traveled I was in the high school then. I actually traveled to my uncle's place in the southern part of Nigeria where they do cocoa. That's cocoa. Then I went there and to spend a month holiday. That's a summer holiday. And I was there, and every morning we visit the farms. And the joy of going to the farm we have to actually trek maybe for like about 1 hour to get to the cocoa plantation. You know, the joy of going every day, the joy of being within nature. And also, there was a particular day that I really loved so much, was the day we were harvesting the cocoa. And in harvesting the cocoa, what I saw was the bees. The bees came around, a lot of them came around. And one of the instructions they told us was, don't kill any of those bees, just allow them to come around. They won't harm you. And it was very, very fun. And after that experience, I told myself in the university, I really want to do something close to agriculture, something interesting. And when I said, unfortunately, I found myself, I studied agri-extension. And working as a student, I visited a village in Osun State. And visiting the village, you know, the warmth, the love, and also the genuineness of farmers actually made me to tell myself that after my university, I wanted something in the agri space. So, and that was why I actually chose agri-extension. So, like what I do in Futos, because I also work in FU as a consultant. In Futos, Futos is a private agri-extension. So what the key thing for us is about increased productivity, and we have buyers for food safety. So the love, the warmth, and also, you know, the fulfillment I derived from working with farmers actually brought me to starting a series 4 years ago on LinkedIn. That is a letter to my farmer. So a letter to my farmer is actually what it simply means is not a literary meaning, because many people will ask, why my farmer? Are they your servant? Are they your slave? No. A letter to my farmer is not even a letter to the farmer itself. It actually talks about my experience working with the farmers. So sometimes when you write your experience, people invalidate it. But when I say my farmer, it simply means that the farmers I interacted with, the farmers I work with. So my experience, I share my experience based on my everyday working with different farmers in different states in Nigeria. And it has been awesome. So
Oh, sorry about that.
All right, Douglas.
They're very exciting. No, I love that story. Love your passion. Thank you for sharing that. Please go ahead.
Okay. So can I share my screen?
You should be able to, yes.
Okay. So good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are, the part of the world you are. My name is Babatunde, and today we want to actually explore something together. What we'll be exploring together, for me, it's a world of agriculture. It's something that is great. It's something that is awesome. It's something that everybody needs to be involved. Agriculture is life. Agriculture is hope. Agriculture is culture, and agriculture is business. And everything agriculture, you know, the business of agriculture is actually the great reward. And apart from it, agriculture deals with nature, it deals with the environment. And no matter how, when we care for the nature, we actually get something great, something awesome. So the love of agriculture and the likes actually brought me into this presentation of exploring the agricultural market opportunities in Nigeria. Many a times when we hear of agriculture or Nigeria, some well thought comes to your mind that Nigeria, one bush, one nation that is just there, poverty stricken and the likes. But this presentation will actually make you see that Nigeria actually is a blessed land, is a rich land that is actually blessed with so many things. And in terms of agriculture, agriculture is our greatest strength, is our greatest weapon. And as I always maintain that agriculture should not only be a culture, there is always a business side to agriculture. So taking agriculture, for us to actually, bring farmers into prosperity, we'll talk about agribusiness. So the first thing I quickly want to actually explore, Nigeria agricultural sector at a glance. Now, one key thing is that many people in the 60s, before the 60s, agriculture is actually well known as the mainstay in the economic of Nigeria. Everywhere, every region actually is producing something, whether in the north with the groundnut pyramid, or in the south with the cocoa, or in the south with the oil palm. So every part, every region of Nigeria was fully into agriculture, and that was the mainstay of our economy. And in then 60% of the global supply of palm oil actually came from Nigeria. 30% of the global groundnut supply came from Nigeria. 15% of cocoa supply came from Nigeria, and many others. And it was actually in different regions. But something happened in the 1970s, and that was the advent of the oil boom. Now, the oil boom actually made, the economy being changed from being an economy that is driven by agriculture to an economy that is driven by oil. And that was a big challenge for us. But however, recently, different administration has come to see that this is our strength. This is inherent to us in Nigeria. So diversifying our economy from fully focused or dependent on economy, but having agriculture as also contribution to develop our economy is very important. And as a glance, what actually the current status of agriculture in Nigeria, it is very, very important to note that agriculture actually employ about 36% of the labor force in Nigeria. Funny enough, also, we have about 70.8 million hectares of land in Nigeria, and 34 million hectares are arable. And it will so interest you that 80% of Nigeria farmers are smallholder farmers. Simply means that about 80% of them actually produce crops on less than 10 hectares. And they produce 90% of Nigeria's agricultural products. And that is the reality. And another thing in Nigeria currently is about 0.27 horsepower per hectare are actually used for mechanization instead of the recommended 1.5 horsepower per hectare. So we can see that agriculture in Nigeria is still a little bit, a traditional method is being used. So less of mechanization, more of human labor. And you also currently, 2% of croplands are actually irrigated. So it simply means that agriculture in Nigeria is mainly rainfall. Only 2% are irrigated. So 98% are actually produced during rainfall. So it is dependent on rainfall. And one of the largest cassava producers, we are one of the largest producers in Nigeria when it comes to cassava, which we produce about 50 million annually. 50 million annually. One thing also is that our national budget, less than 2% allocation actually goes to agriculture, as again the prescribed 10% by the African Union some years ago. And lastly, the sector growth in the first quarter of this year was about 3.16%. So agriculture actually grew by 1.6%. And the next slide, I actually want to talk about the GDP growth in Nigeria in the last 8 to 10 years, about 8 to 9 years. You can see the trend of the GDP in Nigeria, and the increase. It grew in 2013, grew by 5.49%, and by 2021, it was actually, there was actually a problem in 2016 where it actually shrink by to about minus 1.5%, and it actually took up again in 2017, and by 2019 it was 2.27, and the GDP also shrink to minus, and by 2021 it grew up to 3.4%. However, in the GDP contribution, we can see that only 6.63% is actually contributed by oil, and non-oil sector contributed more than 93%. So you can see that the non-oil export actually contributed more to the GDP of Nigeria. unlike the oil sector, which contributed only 6.63. Now, you can see also from 2020 to 2022, you can see the contribution of the non-oil export and the oil on the oil sector, the non-oil sector and the oil sector, their contribution. You can see that the non-oil sector actually in 2021 was about 90.5% and currently is about 93.37%. So the non-oil sector is contributing more to the GDP of Nigeria than the oil sector. Now, I just want to do a little bit disaggregation of the non-oil sector. In the non-oil sector, you can see about 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 components that actually contribute more to the non-oil sector. And I'm picking up 3 subsectors, which is the agriculture, telecommunication, and trade. Those are the 3 major sectors that actually, contributed the biggest among the non-oil sector. And agriculture contributed 22.36%, while trade contributed about 16.13%. Briefly, let me just talk about agriculture and trade. As you can see, what aspect of agriculture that is contributing 22.36%, and what component of the trade that is contributing about 16.13% to the non-oil sector. From this diagram, you see that the crop production actually contribute 87.86% in the agricultural sector, only crop, and forestry, fishery, and livestock only contributed the remaining one. So it means that for the non-oil sector, crop base, which is crop production, actually contributes more. It means that we are more tweeted toward crop production rather than others. So we have more competitive advantage in crop production than any other subsector in the agriculture. So I quickly want to also run through the trade because in the last 3 to 4 years, we actually import and also export. And the total trade in Nigeria has been about 11 trillion naira. And the import has actually we actually import more than we export. So that is one key thing, that we import more than we export. So we have a negative trade balance, which actually, the reason why I'm going through these statistics is for us to see some of the challenges. And from those challenges, we can actually start identifying, some of the opportunities. And what do we import? What do we export? Many times people look like, what do we really import? What do we really export? And from the data available, it means that 11.23% of agricultural goods are actually imported into Nigeria, whereas only 2.3% of agricultural produce are exported. Let me say that again. 11.23% agricultural products are actually imported into Nigeria, and only 2.3% of agricultural produce are exported to other countries. And this is actually a challenge to us, because from my previous discussion, I said Nigeria has about 30-point-something million hectares of arable land, meaning that we can produce, we can have sufficient food, and we could have enough food to export. And this is a big challenge, and this is also a big opportunity for anyone that is looking like, what is actually the problem? Anyone that want to invest could actually see, okay, these are the areas of interest for investments, and what are the key things in these areas? Because when we go deeper into some of these components, we will be able to identify the major challenges that is actually, affecting, or that is actually contributing to more import and less export. And for our import and export, it is very known that for our import, we actually imported more from China, from Asian continent. and that is from China and from India. That's our biggest region where we import from, the Asian continent. Then follow by Europe, and then America. Then we export more to Europe, followed by Asia, then America. So that is the dynamics. Where do we import from? We imported from China, that is, we imported from India, and we also import from Belgium, we import from Netherlands and United Nations, Norway, and the likes. And we actually export to Netherlands, we export to Asian and Indian and the likes. And those are the places where we export to. And the major products that we export to this country, the major export products are the cocoa beans, the sesame, or the beniseed. We export cashew nuts, frozen shrimps, hibiscus, and ginger. These are the major export products. And from this, you can see this graph. The graph actually shows the quantity of the product we export more. We can see from the data that we actually export more of good fermented cocoa beans, which is the first on the list, followed by the sesame seed, which is the second. We also export superior quality raw coconut beans. We export cashew nut shell. We also export frozen shrimps and prawns, other cut flowers and flower buds like hibiscus, and also ginger, which is crushed or ground. So these are our exported products. From all this analysis, one thing we come to understand is that we actually export mainly raw materials. That is what we export, mainly raw materials. We actually do not add, the value we add to our product are less. So, and that is one of the major reasons why the value we get from our exported product is lower compared to the imported products, because we actually import more processed products. So this is actually our biggest challenges. So what are the constraints and opportunity? From what I've highlighted, one thing I've come to understand is, one of it is actually we have inadequate food supply. Our population is growing very, very fast. It's over 200 million people. Now, we are growing every day, every week, every month, every year. The population is increasing. So the demand for food, local production, local demand is increasing. So we are unable to meet the demands locally. So we only have few products for export. And one of the major problems we are having with local production is, one key thing is actually inputs. That we have issues, inadequate input and resources, because this has actually resulted to low yield. Now, I said Nigeria actually produced the highest cassava in terms of volume, the highest volume of cassava in the world, about 50 million tons. But in the sincerity, when it comes to yield, we have almost one of the lowest yield in the world. And this is as a result of the poor inputs, basically from seed, from the stems, from fertilizer. Now, for instance, currently, we only use 20 kg per hectare of fertilizer, and the recommended kg is actually 200 kg per hectare. That is the recommended fertilizer for us to actually meet the demand of our growing population. So this is actually a big challenge for us in Nigeria. Another one is the storage facility. You know, according to FIRO actually puts the post-harvest loss in Nigeria to $9 billion annually. Simply means that from the little that we produced, more than 40 to 60% of the products or produce we produce actually goes into waste. And annually, about $9 billion, we lose $9 billion as a result of food losses. And the reason is because of the lack of storage facility. Taking from tomato, the fruit and vegetables, to grains, we have the issue of storage. And that is one of our biggest challenges. And the other one is the low value addition to agricultural product, which I actually may mention the other time about the value chain. Most of our raw materials, we hardly add value to them. What we actually do is we most time export raw material, which is not, the value we get from raw material is lower than when value is being added. And that is a big challenge. And according to FAO, it said Nigeria value added per capita in agriculture has risen by less than 1%, over the last 2 decades. So it has 1%. That is the growth over the last 2 decades. That is 20. That is, you can see, that is a big problem. So we need. The next one is poor quality of agri products. And this is a big problem, especially when we actually go into the international markets. Now in EU, Nigeria actually have a challenge of, I think last year or 2 years ago, last year or so, we had a challenge, especially in EU, when they actually banned the chlorpyrifos, the issue of chlorpyrifos. The residue level of chlorpyrifos was actually reduced. Chlorpyrifos was from 0.05 milligram per kg to 0.01 milligram per kg. And that was a big challenge to so many exporters, because it was so difficult getting products that their residue level, that's the MRL, is actually at 0.01 for some of our products. And one of the products that has been affected is hibiscus. And that was a big problem because of our poor quality of, especially during production. Many times farmers just use chemicals they don't even know about. They don't have idea about a chemical. They make use of it, and the dosage is not being followed because of they don't have the necessary knowledge, and that is a big problem in our agricultural sector. So poor quality of our products is the issue of quality standard and regulation. Access to finance. This is one of the biggest after post-harvest loss. Most times our banks focus so much on the commercial, the organized firm, the structured firm, the structured market. The financial product that is being designed is mainly for structured market. But the unstructured market, the farmers in the rural community, you see so many commercial banks do not have products that are suitable for them. And also many times a commercial bank don't really understand the nitty-gritty of the sector. So, giving a loan to a farmer and they are expected that every month they are paying back. A farmer has grown cocoa, maybe from beginning he just grown cocoa, is planting cocoa. Cocoa is going to take 3 to 5 years that will start before harvesting. And the commercial bank believes that every year he needs to be paying back. So the product is not even suitable to a cocoa farmer. So don't imagine the fruit and vegetable farmers and the different subsector we have agriculture. So many times they don't really have products that is suitable for the farmers, and that is a big problem in the sector. And also financing other actors, because for me, agriculture is a chain. Agriculture is a chain. We cannot say we want to focus on production and the other actors on the chain will not also be looked into, will not be structured. So when we give assistance or when we are developing projects for only farmers and neglecting the other value chain actors, our agricultural sector will remain stagnant. And that has been the problem also with access to finance to other value chain actors. And this is actually a big problem. And also, most time, technology that is being used is not suitable for farmers. So, the technology that they develop is more focused on those in the urban region. Even, for instance, the criteria we use to get loan is that a farmer has a person has a high credit point. Now imagine a farmer that is not bankable. He does not even have access. He has never been to a bank before. He does not have an account number. He spends every day, but it's not being recorded. It's not being captured. So there is no credit point for such a farmer. And when a farmer actually approach the bank, they will see him as not creditworthy because he does not have, his credit point is so low. And this is actually a big problem. I know some actors in the sector are coming up with simple technology to capture, the transaction of farmers so that to give them to increase their credit point. But this is actually still is a big gap, is a huge market for anyone that wants to invest in that subsector. And this is the major constraint in the agricultural sector in Nigeria. This is the major. There are other little other ones, but these are the major ones. And in total, I've actually classified this constraint and also opportunity into 4 sections. We have the pre on upstream, and these are the areas that one can say want to invest. So when you talk about research and development, research of seeds, quality seed that is adaptable to the different zone in Nigeria, then one can say wants to invest in the pre-upstream subsector. We have the input supply and management. That's the seed, seed distribution, seed breeding, and also we have the fertilizer blenders, fertilizer blending companies, fertilizer distribution companies, and we have standard and quality. That is the certification. Funny enough, in agriculture, there is no certification body in Nigeria when it comes to farm level. There is no known certification body in Nigeria when it comes to the farm level in terms of certification, sustainability certification, such as Global Gap, Rainforest, Union of Ethical Biotrade, Forest Stewardship Council, that's FSC, organic certification, both the NOP and the EU organic, JAS certification and the like. There is no certification body currently in Nigeria. The closest certification body is actually in Ghana. And this is actually a big market because right now in the EU, they are saying that by, I think, 2023 or 25, the products that are exported to EU must be certified. And so this is a huge market. And one can also invest in the upstream sector. That's the direct farming, which is more of commercial or actually bringing farmers in form of outgrower scheme, bringing farmers together in terms of outgrower scheme for production. And this is actually a very good subsector to invest in. We have the midstream, which is the more of processing, manufacturing, processing, mechanization. That is the midstream, and the downstream, which is more of the logistics. Logistics sector is a big sector right now in Nigeria. It's something that is a lot of work because many logistic companies do not have the technology, the infrastructure to even maintain the moisture content of food. Sometimes, you want to actually use a cold chain from a very far north to Lagos, and you are looking at the cost, and you are looking at, okay, is there any other technology that is cost effective that can be used? Is there a coach van that has been developed using solar? Because we have the sunlight, we have it in sufficient quantity all over the country. We have it. So now this is an opportunity. It's a shipping line. Some technology are not yet introduced because sometimes you feel that the market is not yet mature for it. But for me, I see a huge gap. I see opportunity in that sector. I see some players coming into the downstream, that is the shipping logistic company, right? Logistics. right now, I want you to penetrate, bringing different technology that is adaptable to our climate. The way forward, I've said so many areas, I've identified some challenges, areas where one can invest in. One thing is capacity building. We need more capacity build. So any project, if it's you are looking at upstream that you want to invest that into agriculture, then you are looking at capacity building, building of capacity of farmers, improving their good agricultural practices, and training them on standard compliances through efficient extension services. We are looking at scaling up production. If you are looking at cluster farming, you are how to scale, how to increase the yield of crop, how to get quality seeds, how to get quality inputs, fertilizer, chemicals. These are key things. Building competitiveness, because if you actually invest in agriculture, you need to look at how to produce locally, think global, improve value chain, building efficient markets. That's a strong supply chain linkage. Because one key thing that I noticed is that when the market system is very weak, it contributes to high post-harvest losses. It actually contributes to high post-harvest losses. The use of technology and the PPP, that's the public-private partnerships. These are the way forward. These are the things that we can use to their strategy, which we can use to plug into this, into some of the opportunities in agricultural sector in Nigeria. Let me just talk about some of the interventions that have been done by the government. Government have actually done some interventions in the last couple of years, which is one is the agricultural promotion policy, which is aimed at access to international market by enhancing access to market information through the National Agricultural Information System, which is still, they've done some, but, there is still areas of improvement, creating specialized export market support team to enhance export capacity. Although this has been implemented, but there's a need for upgrade. There's a need for upgrade, and this is where the private sector can come into. The AFCTA, which is actually Nigeria is part of the partner, it actually offers a huge opportunity for Nigeria's burgeoning economy through providing increased accessibility to large markets. So when there's a market, so there's already an AFCTA that you can actually move produce within the Africa continent, within the member states, and this is also a huge opportunity. And there's a project that's going on, which is the Zero Reject Initiative, and actually this is to reduce, to enhance accessibility of Nigeria product international, and this is more of quality, the development of standard and quality management system, and this actually will be supported by the government. We have the Nigeria Agri Trade and Investment Promotion and the Development Finance Program, which is for exporters. And lastly, what are we doing? Like I work with Futus Agriculture. When I started, I said a little thing about Futus Agriculture that is a private agri extension. So what we are working in is actually the pre-upstream. We found a huge gap in the pre-upstream, especially in the agricultural extension space. And one thing we realize is the issue of food safety, where farmers produce food, where they do not follow the good agricultural practices, where food being produced cannot be exported. When food is being tested, you see a lot of residue in food, a lot of rejects outside the country, and this is where we actually saw an opportunity. And 5 years ago, food started as a private agriculture extension, and we have buyers for food safety. So what we do is that our focus has actually been 4 major actors, and the exporters, insurance companies, international organizations, and medium and large organizations. So for exporters, what we provide is actually provide the technical know-how for them, especially for export. Now, some of the exporters now look for certifications like the UEBT, that's Union of Ethical Biotrade, Rainforest Alliance certification, and the likes. So we actually help to implement the standard. So from the beginning of production, from pre-production to post-production, and that's post-harvest activities. So we help them to develop a food safety management system throughout the whole system. And if it's actually FSC, Forest State Council, we actually help them to also develop a system that helps them to identify areas of threats to the forest and the likes. And this we have done in the last 5 years. And we've actually been able to achieve UEBT certification for clients, for hibiscus and for ginger. We also global gap and the likes. And lastly, one that we're actually introducing, we are launching is an app. And one of the key challenges we found was that in the process of implementing some of our projects in different states, which we have covered about almost 28 states we have covered currently. And one key thing is having to manage our extension officer on field became so taxing. So we developed an app. The name of the app is Farm Grid, which will be launched very soon. And the app is actually one to monitor extension officers in different locations, and two to collect data and actually to ensure traceability system. So the app collect data from pre-production to production to post-harvest. So everything that will collect the data. So with that, we can actually develop a traceability system where we know a farmer. There's a unique code for every farmer that is being onboarded to the app. We will be able to keep all the records of activities of the farmer throughout the production season, and this will actually build an efficient traceability system. And this is our own contribution. And in the last few years, we'll be able to train 9,893 plus farmers. We'll be able to work with over 40 clients, work with also about 100 plus extension agents, and work in 20 states in Nigeria. And this we've achieved in the last 5 years, almost in the last 4 years. We'll be clocking 5 years by October this year. And in conclusion, and the concluding part is that a strong and efficient agricultural sector is actually will enable Nigeria to feed ourselves, and not only feed ourselves, we'll be able to to feed other nations. And this is very, very key for us. We have the land is there. We have the rainfall, the water is there. We have there. But there is a need for more investment, especially in the infrastructure. The infrastructure, we need to develop more infrastructure. And also we need to develop a very strong and quality input system. And also we need to also develop our market system. And that will actually help us to be able to maximize our potential. Thank you so much. Thank you, everyone.
Really great information. Adesola, what would you like to start out with regarding any comments or questions? Debbie, are you there? You're on mute.
Sorry about that.
No worries.
Thank you so much. Yeah. Thank you, Babatunde. Really, that's enlightening, and I appreciate your time. There's some questions here, and I also have 1 or 2 questions. Do you want me to go with it, Joe?
Sure. I do. Before you start, maybe if Ruby Golo is available, she's in Ghana, and it was mentioned earlier. I think the countries have some similarity relative to the ag markets. And Ruby, I see you have a question. Did you want to ask your question or make any comments on what you've heard today? Some very impressive information. Are you available?
I am indeed. Hello, thank you for the floor. Great presentation. Ghana and Nigeria indeed share similar issues, and we do have fertile land. We have the climate, the weather, etc. But my thing is, how ready are we in terms of food security? What value are we adding to the raw materials, the raw produce from agriculture? I did put a question in the chat box about what value Nigeria is adding to cassava, for instance. We all know the crisis in Ukraine. As a result, wheat flour is very expensive. So in Ghana, we are using cassava flour as an alternative. And so I'll be interested to know what Nigeria is doing to add value to cassava, because the presenter said, looking at the tonnage is quite huge. So I'll be interested to know what value they're adding to cassava out there. Thank you.
Thank you, Ruby. Babatunde.
Okay, thank you so much. So for what Nigeria is doing for the, I think for food, the security. Currently, one of the challenges we have, especially in some part of the country, is the challenge of security, and which I see that the government is actually putting structure in place to address this issue. And some part of the country, not all the part of the country, just some few parts of the country have been affected. And the structure being put in place, for us, it's a long-time structure. And on the short run too, I know the security agents have been, trying their best to reduce it. And I think it's more, it's more assistance from, foreign organizations that government depend on, but not solely depend on. But for me, I see that in the last, unlike in 2011, 2014, which is the height of the insecurity, where the production was actually very low. But right now, you see that it has actually improved because in the last 2000, especially at the height, in this now. For the side of cassava, cassava has several products in Nigeria. The local demand of Nigeria is so high that many a times we don't, even what we are producing is not meeting the local demand. And one thing about cassava is that in Nigeria currently, nothing goes to waste. From the cassava peel that is being used as a substitute for animal feed, to the tuber that is being used to produce different products. You see the gari, which is in high product, and now the high quality cassava, which is in high demand, and the likes. And even, ethanol being extracted from cassava. There are several byproducts right now that are, that have been produced from cassava. And truly, what is so important right now is to increase the production, the yield of cassava. Technically, we actually believe that we can actually, from our varieties, we could get close to 40 tons per hectare. But many farmers, with the small older farmer, are still getting like 10 tons, 12 tons. And one of the issues is that many times after planting cassava, during the dry season, nobody irrigates cassava in Nigeria. Like most farmers don't even irrigate cassava. And that is where the secret is to actually get high yield. Because during the dry season, when the plant does not receive enough water, what it does, it's dormant, it's not growing. Unlike farmers that actually irrigate fast cassava, most times when farmers irrigate cassava, they actually have better yield. And also with terms of fertilizer application, as I said the other time, we are not even close to the fertilizer requirement. We are not close to it. And this is a big problem for us. And that is where we feel that, investor coming in that space can actually, is a big opportunity for any investors that want to explore that space. And there's always room for production. And, one can come and say, oh, you can identify niche market and come to Nigeria and say, I'm going to produce for niche market. For instance, it's very difficult to get organic certified cassava in Nigeria. Like organic certified by maybe NOP certified or EU organic certified, and you could an investor could actually see that opportunity, maybe in the EU or in US, and actually come to Nigeria and say, okay, I'm going to organize farmer, I'm going to certify that. That's a niche market for them, and they could say, okay, they want to process, so they could do a backward integration or a grower scheme. But for now, what we have right now, we are doing our best, but there is limitation in resources for upscaling. I think that is the major challenge right now. I hope I've addressed your question. Thank you.
Ruby?
Thank you very much. I'd like to turn it over to Adesola, but there were several things that you mentioned that really struck me. It almost felt like we should all move to Nigeria and become farmers and capitalize on this opportunity. You mentioned 80% of farmers have less than 10 hectares of property. You mentioned only 2% of farm output is exported, when many other countries, including the US, 33% of ag is exported. You mentioned only 20 kilograms per hectare versus 200 kilograms for fertilizer, so 10x too little fertilizer, which certainly contributes to the low yield. You mentioned about training. You mentioned about the certification process and the opportunity there within Nigeria to educate farmers so that they know ag tech. They can hopefully invest. There's a lack of funding that you talked about that I'm sure contributes to the lack of storage and the lack of irrigation. So there are many challenges, but to your credit, you point them out also as opportunities. And so that's why it almost feels like we should all move to Nigeria and improve the situation and make some money and help the local economy. Adesola, what reaction do you have? And then please go ahead with any questions.
Oh, okay. Well, my reaction actually goes like in line with what you have. It's like crying out for investors to come in, because there's a whole lot to tap into in our agricultural world. Investors will come in within and outside Nigeria because there's a whole lot. And I'm hoping that because the last webinar we had the Vice President of Bank of America, and I hope he's here. He was asking some questions on LinkedIn then. And I did invite him. I hope he's here. So we do need people, investors to come in. And I believe there are programs too that can be started here in Nigeria for the farmers, so that it's going to be a win-win thing. Programs such as, I pointed it out once at the export seminar that I hold. I suggested that we could have investors come in and not totally get everything from the farmers. So it could be that they empower the farmers, and then there's a certain percent they get from the farmers. So let's say they probably get 10, 20%, and the rest goes to the farmers. So they could get the 10, 20% that goes to these investors could be in form of money. It could be in form of the product, the produce of the farm itself that they can export, out of Nigeria. So there are several ways we can go about this, and I'll really be glad if after this we have a lot of people calling and saying they want to invest in Nigeria. So we have Stephanie here, because she mentioned that she has a comment to make and some questions before she leaves for another assignment. So Stephanie,
yes. Thank you so much. I was just about to try to type it in the chat. One thing I want to say, Babatunde, this was a phenomenal presentation. I really appreciate all the information you shared. The fact that you jump in with your farmers, you get your hands dirty, you get in the trenches. And of course, they're not your servants, they're the people that work with you. And so one thing that you had mentioned, I wrote down several things, but I won't take up all the time. But one thing you had mentioned about inadequate food supply, or inadequate storage facility and poor distribution, because it seems like there's a lot of yield there, but would you say because of the poor distribution, there's a lot of waste? And then the other question I had for you was, one, are you going to have another time where investors, you'll have a little bit more details as what you're looking for in regards to investors? Are there different levels for investment to be an investor? I won't be able to get that question now, get a response or the details, but I will put my email address in the chat so that you can respond to me regarding that. I'll stop there because I have a laundry list of things that I would like to say, but I'll just stop with those two things.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Stephanie. Okay, yes. that was the Babatunde. The question is targeted at you, and she just asked the question I was going to ask. I was going to ask about the investors. What they like? Can you identify areas, the particular areas for investors to come in? And we probably will hold another one for that.
Okay. Yes. For me, I think one of the areas where investors can come in actually is in terms of value chain financing. So there are different level of organization or enterprises that are actually having working model, but having to upscale is a big challenge for many of them, because of the financial products being developed by most banks are not suitable for agriculture, and the banks that actually have agri-finance do not have enough investment for those set of people. So it's understanding some of the areas or some of the enterprises that actually have working model that already have markets. For instance, let me give you an instance. While working some days ago, and I met a processor. What she does is actually she processes coconuts. So she does desiccated coconuts. She does coconut flakes. Now, a company had actually reached out to her to supply about 20 tons of processed coconuts. Now, this organization do not have enough funds to actually just buy the raw material to process it. But the company is not ready to actually give a deposit because there is no guarantee. So there is no credit guarantee at that point. So it's a big challenge. Now, you are having a demand, you do not have, and the demand you are having is beyond your capacity. So this type of organization, funding such organization, since the company that is approaching the organization actually uses this coconut product or the processed product for their own product too. So which means that they actually they need it in high demand. They prefer to buy it locally than importing it because of the issue of Forex. So this is one of the key things. So it's value chain financing. Now identifying which, there have been a lot of study right now in Nigeria where they have actually identified, some value chain financing model and identify some value chain that we have competitive advantage in and that can be financed. And then we can develop a crop-based or a commodity-specific financing for these different value chain. I think that is where the solution is.
Stephanie, thank you. I hope Stephanie is still there. She had 2 questions. Hello, Steph. Are you still there?
I think she dropped off.
All right. Okay. Okay. Joe, you want to take the floor while I go through the questions, if there are any questions? And please, to our participants, if you have questions, do not hesitate to drop your questions or unmute yourself and ask your question.
Yeah, we would just ask for anybody that asks a question, unmute yourself, say who you are and where you're from, and then just ask your question. I know, Dennis, you're in the audience. Are you still there? And do you have a question that you wanted to point out?
Yes, I do. Can you hear me, Doug?
Yes, perfectly.
First, I'd like to thank the Global Chamber for having me on. And this presentation was one of the best I've ever seen, and I've seen a lot of them.
Thank you.
And very, very good. I'd like to be able to share that with my people. If I go to the website, futuxconsult.com, and send you an email, can somebody email me this presentation?
Yes, we will definitely email you.
Yes, because we've done business. I have a company where I produce minerals for organic agriculture. We can help you. We can help you. 20 kg per hectare is extremely low, as you know, and it's not beneficial to grow, to get the yields that you need. But on the good side is your land hasn't been contaminated with chemical fertilizers. So that's the good thing, okay? So, but there is an alternative, and we call it the organic solution. And we ship our product worldwide. We're in India, and we've done business in Africa, including Nigeria. And if I'm going to send an email, I posted my email on the chat. If you could respond to me, Babatunde and Adesiola, Debbie, if you could respond to me, and then I can start sending you information and put you in touch with my people that are over there on the ground. I got a call yesterday from one of my people. He just left Johannesburg, headed back to Dubai. So we are there and we can help. We can really help with this problem. So I just want to thank you so much for allowing me to be part of the conversation. And thank you, Doug, and the Chamber for inviting me.
Thank you, Dennis.
We'll definitely get you connected. Thank you. Does anybody else have a question? Just unmute yourself and go ahead. We'll go for a few more minutes. Normally our events are 1 hour. But given really the high quality of information here and undoubtedly number of questions, we'll go for at least another 10 minutes, no further than the bottom of the hour. Any other questions?
Okay, I have a question.
Yes, please. Yeah. Can I go ahead?
Okay. Please go ahead. Changemakers Africa, you want to go first?
Yeah, my name is Eric Igalo. I serve as Executive Director for CDF and Changemakers Africa. I'm located in Lagos, Nigeria, and Abeokuta, Ogun State. I made 2 comments on the chat box, but the one I want to talk about is certification for agricultural produce. Right now, we are on a 10,000 acre land, and we are doing honey, we're doing cassava, and so I'm interested in the kind of support we can get for certification for export purposes. I don't know if they could throw some more light on that. How can we be helped to do that? Yes.
Good question. Thank you very much. Babatunde?
Okay. Thank you so much. Thank you, Mr. Dennis. Okay, for certification, I could drop my email. I think I've shared my email on the presentation. I think one of the things we'll do is to do an assessment. We call it a need assessment. While with you, we'll actually have to, also know the specific certification you want to do and the market. Like for honey, I know you are actually going to be interested in organic certification for honey. And for other commodity, maybe depending on the country you are looking at for, maybe if the product is for exports. But if it's a local market, there are some certification you could do locally. But for export, we could speak whether it's UEBT, that's Union of Ethical Biotrade, and it could be organic, it could be EU and the like. So I'm going to share my personal email. I'm already sending to the chat box, so you could send me a message, and if you send me a message, we could actually come up with something. But one thing is, we'll just provide the support in terms of implementation support by helping you to develop a system, a traceability system that is adaptable to your production. So that's what we do. And also for your on it, then I can connect you with a company in Togo that actually are interested in beeswax. They actually be looking for organic beeswax. I can link you up with them. If you have 100 hectares and you have a lot of beehives, then it could actually be an opportunity for you. But I've already sent my my email address. You can connect me.
Fantastic. Thank you for that information. Hopefully that answers your question. Before we get to the next question, I see Nihi Sanusi, you're in the call today. You're in Lagos and a longtime member. Thank you for your participation today. Did you have any comments or questions regarding today's presentation, or are you available right now to speak? Nihi, are you there?
Nihi? Okay, is here. I can't speak now. Okay, it says thank you, but I can't speak now. Can you type what you, yeah. So, okay, I guess the question was, his question was, what is the single biggest factor limiting the growth of the agriculture sector in Nigeria? That's for Babatunde. And how can this be changed positively? That was his question.
I didn't get that. What is the single?
Okay. What is the single biggest factor limiting the growth of agriculture in Nigeria? The biggest factor that limits the growth of agriculture sector in Nigeria, and how can this be changed?
Wow. The biggest factor, for me to say one biggest factor, it will be very difficult. The biggest factor, I think, the biggest factor is actually one of the things that I see as the biggest factor is the weak market system. The market system in Nigeria is very weak. In this sense of just we produce to sell. You can't determine price. Price can crash anytime. It's being controlled. It can crash, and it's a big factor that you see a lot of people producing, and there's no, we are producing that is not enough, and those quantity that we have produced that is not enough, about 40 to 60% of it still go into waste. So for me, it's a big problem. So for me, I would say a weak market system. Because if we have a very strong market system where demand is increasing every day, where the market, because maybe just for us to understand what it means, that because we are dependent so much on rainfall, I gave a statistic of 2% of rainfall. So all our produce actually get harvested the same time. And when we harvested the same time, we find it so difficult to actually, preserve those products throughout the year. That's the problem. It is rainfall. We produce at once. All the farmers in Southwest they will plant this crop at the same time. They will harvest at the same time, and the market will not be able to absorb everything at the same time. So because the market can absorb it at the same time, the remaining ones that cannot be absorbed are not properly stored. Since they are not properly stored, they go to waste. Then when they go to waste, there's now a period of scarcity. At that period of scarcity, there is nothing to sell. So you can see that's a weak market system. And the solution to weak market system is basically if you can develop a strong storage infrastructure, it will solve at least, if we can preserve from 40 to 60% loss, if we can reduce that to even 10%, will actually be a game changer in the agricultural sector in Nigeria. It will be a big game changer. Just storage infrastructure to get it right. Thank you.
Thank you, Nihi.
Thank you very much. Any other questions? Please step forward. We can probably take one or two more. Just unmute yourself and step forward.
Hello, this is Ruby again from Accra. I
wanted
Ruby. To know if you can throw some more light on your rice pyramid. I have been following that story. And it fascinates me how you've been able to build the rice pyramid in Nigeria.
Okay, for the rice, okay, it's a policy of the government. So some years ago, that's 2019, 1819, what happened was that the policy of the current administration was to stop importation of rice. What they identified was that rice comes through Benin Republic and some other neighboring countries around, which is actually killing the local rice. So, and one of the challenges also with local rice is that they are not of good quality then. So the government actually started a program where under the Anchor Borrower Scheme, being headed by the Central Bank of Nigeria, is a program from the CBN, which actually provides direct support to rice value chain actors. So direct support to rice value chain actors. So, and the next thing was the policy. So the policy was actually the ban of importation, both the sea and the land importation of rice. So it means that those in Benin Republic couldn't, and also in Niger Republic couldn't import rice or bring rice into Nigeria. And also the importation from Thailand was also banned. So that actually caused the form of, increased high price of rice. So what happened is the government provided support for specific equipment like sorters machine, equipment like the stoner, sorters machine, and some other machines, and also provide finance for processor, especially industrial processor, at a very low interest rate, single-digit interest rate. Under the anchor borrowers, actually under the anchor borrowers, provided support directly to farmers in form of we call it is a model of where there's an anchor, which is a bank, giving loan to farmers, and there's already an off-taker. So the off-taker actually supplied the processor. So because of that, so there is a lot of production of rice locally. So more rice were produced, and also because fund has been given, enough capital has been given to processors, they could get good machine, which helps actually in improving the quality of Nigeria rice. It actually improved the quality of Nigeria rice. And because of that, there's actually, high volume of rice being produced locally. It actually encouraged farmers to actually produce more rice. And the challenge with it is actually that the price of rice increased. And though we've achieved high volume of rice being produced, up till now, the price is not still low. And that is now the order that needs to be overcome. But in terms of the volume, we are actually we are self-sufficient. Technically, let me use that word. We are technically self-sufficient, but the rice cannot be, the price is still high. And when we talk about food security, we talk about affordability, availability. There is availability, there is quality, but affordability is a bit reduced. So, but it's actually a program that stimulated from the government, which with the policy, and also financing the value chain actors, from the input suppliers to the research organization, to actually produce quality rice seed. So there were research and also development of quality rice seed. And due to quality rice seed available, and farmers having access to the rice seed available, and there is also fund to actually increase their production capacity through the Anchor Borrower Scheme, and there are off-takers, ready market to offtake those products, and also there are processors that are ready to feed their meal. So that is actually the sources of the rice program, which led to the rice pyramid. Thank you.
Oh boy, I had not heard of that. That's amazing. I see the pictures online. Thank you for sharing that. Great question, Ruby. Appreciate that. Debbie Adesola, I'm wondering now, maybe just out of respect for everybody, that we probably should begin to wind down the program. Just really impressive, as several of other people have said, just great information, Babatunde, just outstanding, from your story of how you got involved in this to all the information you shared. Definitely an outstanding presentation with great opportunity. I'd like to suggest, Debbie, that perhaps we do a follow-up program on the investment side of it and what are the investment opportunities, and we'd be happy to work with you on pulling together some speakers to talk about that. But that'll be up to you. But please, maybe if you could, if you have any additional questions or if you'd like to make some wrap-up comments, please go ahead.
Okay, thank you so much. I will thank you for this opportunity to have me here, and I'll be glad to have a follow-up that will be focused more on the investment side only. You know, today is just the opportunity side, and
it's great.
So for the investment, which is more specific, I would really like to actually have that presentation also. And one key thing is this is a global market. The world is a global market, and Nigeria is gradually placing herself to be a leader in the agricultural space in Africa. Although it looks like we are just rising, and the truth is we are getting there. And with so much, with investments, the opportunities that have been identified, and with the right investment channel to the right subsector, I believe that it will be a very great opportunity to invest in Nigeria agricultural sector. Thank you so much.
Thank you. And where there's so much opportunity, there definitely is an opportunity for people to make a difference, as you are. Is there anything else, Babatunde, that you wanted to say? Anything that maybe we should be thinking about, high priority opportunities that we should think, or anything else you'd like to say in terms of wrapping up today's program?
Okay, the thing that actually is one key thing that is in my mind that I've always looked out for in terms of investment is this CB at the farm level, that certification body. Many companies are look at establishing certification body in Nigeria, but all the companies have come, Control Union tried to, ECOSA trying to, but none of them still have established certification body in Nigeria. And there are a lot of companies actually doing certification, from Olam to so many of them are multinationals actually doing certification, but at the farm level, not at processing now, at the farm level, like UBT, organic, and the likes. And this is actually an area that I actually been reaching out to some companies to look at, to see that opportunity right now in Nigeria, because it's a huge market. Certification is actually a huge market. In the next 5 to 10 years in Nigeria, it will actually blown. And the first person to enter actually takes the whole market, and he use that as an advantage. For me, it will be a very great opportunity. Thank you. And that is where I'm going to wrap up.
Great. You've really made a point of that, and it's very exciting. Debbie, I turn it back over to you. What final comments do you have? And please finish up the program. Thank you for putting us in touch with Babatunde today, and thank you for putting this program on.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Appreciate. Thank you, Babatunde, for a good presentation. What I have for audience would be that you should kindly support and join us, Global Chambers. You now see what you can get from Global Chambers. We would need more people to come on board for Lagos, Nigeria, be a member, and you can contact me on my, I'm going to share my contact with you all. So you can contact me to know how to join, and you just pay yearly dues and very affordable, and you can see the benefits you get here. I hope we've all been enlightened, and we look forward to another session probably in June. I'll communicate that with you, Joe. That will be for investors, how to get investors and and for investors to come on board to ask one or two questions, and also for people to kind of pitch. I think it will also be a nice one. We'll have the investor forum. We'll also have for members to come and pitch their business for likely investors to invest in their business. So that's a way forward. Thank you so much once again, Babatunde. I see M Touch. There was a question M Touch asked here. I'm not sure we touched on that. But anyways, I think it's also out of here. We thank you all, everyone. Thank you, Globe co-member, co-colleagues, Glover Chamber, Ruby. We have Nota, Dennis, Shankar, Stephanie, Christopher, Terry, and other Global Chamber colleagues. I really appreciate you joining in with us. And Dennis, we look forward to your promise. So you make sure that you get in touch with us, okay? You can always reach me through Doe, and then we'll take it from there. Thank you all.
Thanks, everybody. Have a great weekend. Have a good Saturday and Sunday.
Thank you. Have a wonderful weekend. Bye.
Thank you, Debbie.
Yeah.
Thank you, everyone. Great being here.
You.
Bless you.
Thank
you, everyone.
Thank you. Thank you all. Family and friends, thank you.
Thank you. Additional. Well done.
Thank you. Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye.
Thank you.
Bye.